Michael Reed had never been the kind of employee who needed attention. At Sterling Financial's Chicago headquarters, he was known for arriving early, speaking politely, and leaving quietly when his work was finished. He didn't participate in office gossip, didn't argue over promotions, and rarely complained about the long hours. As a single father raising his 7-year-old son, Noah, Michael had learned to value time more than anything else. Every morning, he prepared Noah's breakfast, packed his lunch, and made sure he reached school before taking the train downtown. His life was built around schedules, responsibilities, and promises. Michael had worked at Sterling Financial for 5 years. Officially, he was a senior financial analyst. Unofficially, he was trusted with some of the company's most sensitive problems. The company's owner, David Sterling, had personally assigned Michael to conduct a confidential internal review after noticing unusual financial activity. Michael had already discovered several suspicious transactions. He didn't immediately accuse anyone. Instead, he carefully documented everything. That Thursday evening, most employees had gone home. Michael remained at his desk beneath the dim office lights, surrounded by reports and spreadsheets. His phone buzzed. It was Noah. "Dad, are you coming home?" Michael smiled. "Soon, buddy. I just need to finish something important." "Promise." "I promise." Michael put the phone down and returned to his work. At around 8:15 p.m., his manager, Karen Blake, walked through the nearly empty office. She stopped when she saw him. "Michael." He looked up. "Yes, why are you still here?" "I'm finishing the financial report for Mr. Sterling." Karen frowned. "You were supposed to leave at 6. "I know, but the numbers don't match." "That isn't your problem." Michael remained calm. "It could become the company's problem." Karen crossed her arms. "You always think you know better." "I didn't say that. You don't need to." Michael looked back at his computer. "I'll be finished shortly." Karen stared at him. "You need to leave now." Michael turned toward her. "I can't. I found something that needs to be verified before tomorrow's meeting." Karen's patience disappeared. "You're refusing a direct instruction." "No, I'm asking for another 30 minutes. Karen reached for her phone. "Fine." Michael watched her dial. "Who are you calling?" "Security." Michael stood. "Karen, there's no reason for this." She ignored him. "This is Karen Blake on the 23rd floor. I have an employee refusing to leave the building." Michael shook his head. "That's not what happened." Karen ended the call. "They're on their way." Michael looked at his phone. He thought about Noah waiting at home. Then his phone rang. David Sterling. Michael answered. "Mr. Sterling." David's voice sounded concerned. "Michael, where are you?" "I'm still at the office." "Why?" Michael glanced toward Karen. "Your manager just called security on me." There was a long silence. Then David's voice became firm. "Do not leave your desk." Michael frowned. "Why?" "Because I'm coming upstairs." Karen overheard the conversation and smiled. She believed David was calling to discipline Michael. She had no idea the owner was about to arrive with a very different question. And it would change her career before security ever reached the floor. David Sterling reached the 23rd floor before the security team could arrive. The elevator doors opened, and the company's owner stepped into the quiet office with the chief financial officer beside him. David's expression was calm, but everyone could immediately tell that something was wrong. Karen hurried toward him. "Mr. Sterling, I'm glad you're here. I had to call security because Michael refused to follow instructions." David stopped. "Michael?" "Yes. Where is he?" Karen pointed toward Michael's desk. Michael was still sitting there, reviewing the financial report on his computer. David walked directly to him. "Are you all right?" Michael nodded. "Yes, sir." David looked at the documents. "Did you find anything?" Michael hesitated. "I found another irregular transaction." The CFO stepped closer. "How serious?" "Potentially very serious." David's expression changed. "Show me." Michael opened the report. He explained that several payments had been routed through different vendors and eventually connected to the same outside account. He had been tracking the pattern for weeks. "If this is confirmed," Michael said, "the company could have lost several $1,000,000. The CFO looked stunned. David turned toward Karen. "You called security on him while he was investigating this?" Karen's face became pale. "I didn't know." David's voice remained controlled. "You didn't ask." Karen tried to explain. "He was here after hours. I thought he was violating policy." Michael quietly closed his laptop. "I told her why I was staying." David looked at Karen. "And instead of checking, you called security." Karen swallowed. "I was trying to enforce the rules." David shook his head. You were trying to exercise authority. The security team finally arrived. 2 officers approached the office. Karen immediately pointed toward Michael. That's him. David stepped between them. No. The officers stopped. David looked at Karen. You won't need them. Karen stared at him. What do you mean? David picked up the termination report she had prepared. You're finished. Karen's eyes widened. Mr. Sterling, please. You abused your position, falsely accused an employee, and interfered with a confidential investigation. I didn't know he was investigating. That is exactly the problem. David handed the document to her. You were more interested in controlling your employee than understanding what he was doing. Karen looked toward Michael. He didn't celebrate. He simply returned his attention to the report. David turned to him. Michael, I owe you an apology. Michael shook his head. I just want to finish the investigation. David smiled. That is why I trust you. He paused. I want you to lead the entire financial review division. Michael looked surprised. That's a big responsibility. You've already been doing the work. Michael thought about Noah. Can I have flexible hours? David smiled. Absolutely. Michael packed his laptop. As he walked toward the elevator, David stopped him. One more thing. Michael turned. Thank you for staying late. Michael smiled. I was just doing my job. The elevator doors closed. For years, Michael had believed that working quietly meant nobody noticed. That night, he finally understood something different. The right people had been watching all along. And Karen learned the hardest lesson of her career. Never mistake a quiet employee for an unimportant one.